how the Git will understand that. So depending upon the configurations, the Git will understand who has made the changes in the files. These are the concepts that we have seen in the last class. Today we are going to discuss about some more concepts regarding the Git. Today and tomorrow we will discuss about some more concepts regarding the Git. After that, we will be discussing more on Terraform. From Monday onwards, we will start Terraform. Okay. So if you see here, yeah. So today we need to discuss about the git add command. So in the last class, we discussed about the git config command. So what is meant by git config global and what is meant by git config local? These are the concepts that we have seen in the last class. Today we will be discussing about the git config. So what is this git add? Git add command adds a change in the working directory to the staging area. So whatever the changes that you have made, everything will not directly into the commits, or else directly they are not going to be saved. First of all, whatever the changes that you have made, first they will be underwent to the staging area. So they will whatever the changes has made by the user, whether user so still directly they are not going for the saving, which means they are not going for the commits. First, they will go for the staging area. In this staging area, if the user wants some more things to be added, so he can remove that caching, and after that he can add some more data into that file, and then he can commit that. For example, what I want to say here is that let me access the Git server. In the last class, we have created a Git server. So select the Git server and access the Git server. Here we have created some files inside this Git server. So what we are going to do here is, what are the files that we are having? If you see here, there is a directory called as web app, and there is another directory called as website. So these two are the Git repositories. Unless you initialize the Git, they are called as directory only. For example, I will create a directory called as dummy. This is the directory which I am creating, cd dummy. So I want to move into the dummy directory. Okay, so just now we have created that. Now this is called as a directory unless you initialize the Git. So I will go for Git init. Now this is called as a repository. So if you see here, initialize the Git repository. So what is the difference that it is going to make? Until you initialize the Git, no folders will be created. When you initialize the Git, automatically Git is going to install a folder called as .git. If you see here, .git directory has been created. It is a hidden folder as per the Linux perspective. It is a hidden folder. Inside this hidden folder, we will have several directories and files that helps us to make the commits. What are the previous commits that has been made, and what is the staging files? Everything will be stored in this Git. Okay, .git directory. Now what I want to do here is, if you go to the website directory, here you can see there are some files. There is a file called as index.html, which just now I have created. Oh, so in the last class, we have created this index.html. And if you see here, ls-a, there is a directory called as .git, which is a hidden directory. In this directory, we are having some more files. Let me show you this. If you see here, we are having branches, description, index, logs, references, heads, and hooks, and infos and objects. So if you go into the index, let me cat index. If you go into this, it is going to give you some sort of data. So index.html is there. So this can be clearly understandable whenever we are going into the Windows perspective. If you watch this particular directory in the particular file in the Windows perspective, you can see very clearly. But now let me go back to the concept, what they are saying. Now, if you see here, git add command adds a change in the working directory to the staging area. It tells the Git that you want to include updates to a particular file in the next commit. So now I will go back to the cd dot. This is the main repository which I am having. If you can see here I am having index.html. If you see the git status, is there anything that I have to make commit? So it is saying that on branch master, nothing to commit. There is nothing to commit. Everything, whatever the files that you are there inside this directory, everything is committed. Okay. Now what I will do here is nano index.html. I will edit something. So here what I am going to do, h1 new class, new git class. For example, if I give some data like this, new git class. Okay. If I give some data like this, if you see the status again, git status, it is going to say that on branch master. So there is a index.html. Just now we have modified index.html, which has to be added. So which you want to update. So use git add to update what will be committed, which file has to be committed. You need, if at all, if I have to say to the git, these files need to be committed. First of all, I need to add those files to the staging area. And after adding those files to the staging area, you can directly send it to the commit. So now what I will do here is, so if you want to discard the changes, now what you can do, git restore, and you can provide the file name. So what I will do here, if I go for git add and index.html, now if I go for the git status, see that now it is modified. It is in the staging area. Whatever the file that has been given, that is in the staging area. Now you have to save that. Now you have to save that as per the git perspective, git perspective, which means that the git has to understand that. So I have to save that. To save that, I need to give the command called as git commit. So what I will do, git commit -m, which means that I am marking it, like I am giving the name for that particular file. What are the changes that has been made? Added new header. I will give like this. This is the description which I am providing for the new commit. Now, if you see here, the commit has been changed. If you want to know what are the commits that are made by the git, then you have to go for a command called as git log. If you give this command, see that first of all, the first commit which we have made in the last class, that is index.html added. Now the latest commit which we have made is added a new header. These are the commits that has been added. Now that is what it is said by git add command. Now if you see, it tells git add command tells git that you want to include the updates to the particular file in the next commit. Developing a project revolves around the basic. So there are three stages like editing, staging, and commit. So first of all, you will edit the code. You will add the code, whatever you want. And then you have to stage the code. And then you have to commit the code. Commit means save the code. First, you edit your file in the working directory. When you are ready to save the copy of current state of the project, you stage the changes with the git add command. After you are happy with the stage snapshot, you commit it to the project history with the git commit. So this is about your git add command. Whatever we are doing, it is going to do like this. Git add tells to be called every time you alter the file. Whenever you alter the file, automatically you have to add the file to the staging area. And after adding the file to the staging area, you have to move it to the commit area. So there are two types of files. So one is tracked file. Tracked file means which is added to the repository, which is committed files. Those are called as tracked files. And the files that are edited in your working directory, but but those files need to be committed. Those are called as untracked files. So let me show you. I will try to install the Git in Windows operating system so that it can be very clear. Or else I have a virtual machine, which is Windows virtual machine is running on my computer. I will show you that in the Windows machine so that you can have a clarity about what I'm speaking. So let it come. Let it come, and then before it comes, let us go for the next configuration which we are discussing about this. When you first add files to an empty repository, they are all untracked. To get git to track them, you need to stage them, and then staging or add them to the staging environment. First of all, when you add any new file, suppose when you create any new file, by defaultly, if you initialize the Git repository and if you add any new file to the Git repository, those files are untracked files. Nothing is tracked. So until you stage them and after that commit them, no files will be tracked. So that is what it is saying. Now what I will do here is, let me log into my server first. This is my Windows machine. Now what I am going to do here is, I will log into the Windows machine. Here I have a Visual Studio Code installed. You can also install that. I will tell you how to install the Visual Studio Code and how to install the Git in whenever we go for the Terraform configuration. I will tell you all the things. But as of now, just look out what are the things that are saying that are said in the PowerPoint presentation. Now, what they are saying, whenever you are creating any repository, by default, the repository will be a directory until you initialize the Git. Once you initialize the Git, then the directory is called as a repository. This is all what we know. Now, what I will do, I will go to the PowerShell. In the PowerShell, I will create a directory. Let me create a directory like okay. So here, what I'm going to do is mkdir new website. For example, new web is the directory name which I am creating, and I want to move to new web. New web. Okay. So I will open my Visual Studio Code in that particular directory. I will open the Visual Studio Code in new web directory. Now, what is going to happen over there? Let us see. So by default, I don't have any files in this directory. I don't have any sort of file. Now, what I will do here is I will go to the code and I will add, or else I will initiate the git init. If I initiate the git, so the git is initialized on this repository. So now what I am going to do, I will create a file here. So the file is, for example, so index.html. This is the file which we are creating. Just for your understanding, I'm saying this. This is the file which I'm creating. And now this is the HTML code. You know about this. I am not pretty good in HTML. I am not a developer. I am completely the system administrator. I worked as a system administrator for 8 years. So I'm not into the development phase, but I will try to make you understand all the concepts. So here, what I will do is /HTML. Okay, this is done. Now what I can do here is inside the HTML, I will add a body. Okay, and what I can do here, if you see here, now I am saving this file. When I save this file here, you can see there is a symbol that is called as U, which means it is an untracked file. Whatever the file that you have created, all the files will be untracked until you stage and commit the files. Okay. Now what I will do here is I will go to the PowerShell. In the PowerShell, what I will do, git status. If you give the command as git status, the same index.html file is yet to be staged. Now what I will do here is git add dot. The meaning of the dot is the current directory, whatever the current directory, you have to add all the files in the current directory to the staging area. So you can specify a single file as well as you can specify all the files in the directory. Whatever the unsaved commits are there, you can send all the files to the staging area. So that is the reason why I'm giving here git add dot. The meaning is that whatever the untracked files that are located in this particular directory, all the files should be sent to the staging area. So when I press enter, every file will be sent into the staging area, but still he can see here it is unmarked. Now what I am going to do here is git commit hyphen. I am going to save this. Added index.html. This is what I am going to say. When I save this, the commits has been saved. As you see, altered, and now after some time, what is going to happen? Now it is marked as saved. Now that is what saying here. If you see here, what they are saying, all the files, whenever you added first to the repository, every file is an untracked file until you send them to the staging area. After that, you have to commit them. Now the next one is here you need to understand Git staging environment. One of the core functions of Git is the concept of staging environment. The primary function of the git add command is to promote the pending changes in the working directory to the Git staging area. Now, so if you see here, the primary functions of git add command is promote the pending changes in the working directory to the Git staging area. For example, what I will do here is I will add some data into this. what I will do H1, or else I will go with the title, new Git. Okay, for example, this is the title which I am providing, new Git. And when I save this, here you can see M symbol will be coming, which means that it is a modified. Now there are some changes. So if you see, there are some changes. So that is what saying here. Here, what is the point that is saying? Is to promote the pending changes to the working directory to the Git staging area. Instead of committing all of the changes you have made since the last commit, the stage lets you group related changes to highly focused snapshot, because actually the committing it to the project history. When you run the git add, git compress the modified and saved files in your working directory into the binary large objects. These are called as blobs. Whatever that you have saved, everything will be compressed and saved as a blob, and adds them to the index file. Now I have shown you the index file in this session now, but I want to show you again. So if you go to the git directory, whatever the directory that we have created, or else whatever the repository that we have created just now, let me go to that repository. Here in the C drive, we have the repository name new web. So where is this new web? This is the new web directory where you are having the index.html. Here you have a hidden folder that is .git. In the .git, you can have the index file. Let me try to open this index file. Okay. Open with somewhere like I will try to open it with notepad, or else you can understand the file also. Let me open with the Visual Studio Code only. If I try to open this with Visual Studio Code, so you can understand the blobs. There is a command to understand this, but I will tell you that. So what they are saying, whatever the commits or else whatever the unsaved changes are there, all the unsaved changes will be first added to the staging area. When they are added to the staging area, they will be saved in a file called as index file, and in the form of blobs. Okay. Saved files in your working directory into the binary large object known as blobs. Okay. So this is what I want to say. And the next one is git add command. As I already said you that git add. So how to add the files into the staging area with the help of the command called as git add command. And the next one is git commit. So you know that in Git, a commit is a snapshot of your repository at a specific point of time. It is like the current saving point. For example, now when I commit the changes, that is the snapshot. That is the first snapshot. If you see here, git log. If I go for git log, okay. So git log. If I do the command here, git log, this is one snapshot. Now, if you make the commit again, another snapshot will be created, another saving point will be created. So if you want your project to be starting from like, so see, there are 10 snapshot. I want my project to be sent back to the 8th snapshot. From there, you can collect all the data. So it is like a snapshot. Snapshots are nothing but like a backups. So this is the first backup, and after that, in the second backup, this is the second point where you have committed. This is the second backup, and the third point where you have committed. Then that is the third backup. Like that, you will have all the backups. So if there is any problem in the project, you can come back to the first backup or second backup depending upon your requirement. You can come back to the log files and you can select which backup you want. Okay, so you can restore the backups also. So that is what the git add and git commit will says that. Now the next one is, so how it is going to say. If you see here, now I just want to show you this animation so that you can have a clear-cut understanding about what is going to happen. So this is a git working directory. Now the working directory, the project will be sent into the staging area into the index file, and from the index file, the project will be sent to the objects directory where actual commits will be happen, wherever entire data will be saved. So this is the flow of your Git. First of all, you will design a project, edit the project, and from the editing, it will be sent to the index file. From the index file, the project will be sent into the objects where actual commits, where actually your projects will be saved. That is nothing but taking the snapshot, taking a backup. So now if you see here, where I can have this, if you see here in the .git directory, here you are having the objects. So these are the objects where your actual data will be saved. And the next one is Next, we can go for the git differ. This is one of the option if there is any changes. So git differ is a command line utility. It is used to show the changes between the commit and working tree. If you see here git differ, so it is going to show you if there are any unsaved changes are there, any changes has to be maintained. It is going to be showed like this. Now what I will do here is I will go here git diff. If I give this command, what is going to happen? See here git diff hyphen git. This is the first snapshot which I am having index.html. Now there is a latest snapshot or else latest unsaved changes are there, that is index.html. So 5 lines to be added. Which line to be added? Title, new git. This line has to be added. So this is the main difference which the git is about to find out. So the git is finding a new change, that is title, new git. This is the only change which has to be saved, which has to be untracked, which is untracked. Now what I will do here is I will add some more data here. Here, when you're coming back to this H1, welcome to new session on Git. If I give like this, what is going to happen here? Now again, if you go for git differ, see that 2 lines to be saved. See that these 2 lines should be saved. Okay. So these are the 2 lines which are need to be saved in the git commit. Next commit, these are the lines to be saved. So git difference command will show you that which particular file is saved, which particular files are under commit, and which particular data is uncommitted. So if you add this git add dot, now we have made that into the staging area. If you see here git diff, if I go for git differ, so if you see there is nothing, I think, see that there is nothing to be saved. Why? Because all the data is now in the staging area, which is about to commit. All the data is into the staging area, which is about to commit. Now what I will do, I want to check the git diff hyphen staging hyphen stage. If I give the command like this, then what is going to happen here? Now we have to check out that. So what is the commits that have there in the staging area? Okay. Git diff hyphen stage. If I give the command, now see that these are the lines that are to be staged, that are need to be committed. These are under the staging area. In the first sentence, in the first command, whatever I have given, these are the lines which are need to be committed. Now I made the data into the staging area. Now when I give the command git diff and with the staging whatever the staging symbol or there or staging command is there, then it is going to show you that these are the lines which are staged and ready to commit. Now if I commit that git commit hyphen m, git commit hyphen m, new header added. Okay. When I give this command, automatically all commits are made. Now the git is going to store all the files into the git repository. So these repositories, whatever the repositories that we are making, these are all the local repositories. These are all the local repositories where multiple developers can create their own local repository. As I already said you that there will be so many developers who are working on your project. Whatever the project that you are having, there will be several developers who are working on your project. If there is a change, so where they have to store all their projects, that is the first question. So there will be multiple developers who are working on the same project, and one developer want to access the another developer code. There might be a chance that one developer want to access the another developer code, but here the point is each and every project is stored inside inside their local missions. But now if they want to access that project, what we have to do, we have to save them in a centralized repository. Here the centralized repository is nothing but your GitHub. So let me go to the GitHub now. Here I will go to the github.com. Now what I am going to do here is I will create a repository. So this is my demo repository. and it is a private repository. You can make it. There are two types of repositories. One is public repository and the other one is private repository. So I'm making it as a private repository. Creating a GitHub account is very easy. With the help of your email ID, you can create your GitHub account. It is very, very easy. So I'm selecting a private repository and then create the repository. Now I have created this repository. Once I created this repository, what I am going to do here is I will send my entire code into this repository. How to send the code, how to send this code into the repository. It is very simple here. Now, if you see git remote -v, if I give the command like this, git remote -v, now what I am going to get it out. So what are the remote repositories that you are having? If you give this command, what are the remote repositories that are there for this particular Git repository, which is created in your local mission? Give me a second. When you see this git to remote -v, if I give this command, when I give this command, what is going to happen here? Now there are no Git remote repositories, which means that your centralized Git is not associated with this particular repository. Now what I am going to do, I will make the connectivity between my centralized repository and to my onto my Git directory, which is created in my local mission. In the GitHub, whatever the repository, demo repository I just created, with the demo repository, I want to connect my local repository. How can I connect that? It is pretty simple. There is this command called as, you can execute this command, git remote add origin, git remote add origin, whatever the command, that is, whatever the demo directory is there, you can add the demo directory. But the point is, whenever you create a Git repository, automatically a origin point will be generated. Origin is like a directory, or I can call it as a user. So an origin point will be created, and with the help of this origin point, everywhere we will use this origin point. If I want to push any files from my local repository to the Git repository, I can use the origin. Or else if I want to pull any data, I will use the origin. Like that, we will use this origin point. Now what I am going to do here, let me go back. When I add this, now if you execute the command git remote -v, come on, git remote -v, see that now the Git repository is added to my local repository. Whatever the Git hub account or else GitHub directory is there, that repository is connected to my local repository. Now to send the data, to send the files from local repository to the Git repository, how can I send that? There is a command called as git to push origin master. So there is a master directory which has been created. Whenever we initialize the Git, there is a master directory. Master branch will be created. Now, what are the commits that are made in the master branch? I want to send the commits to the origin. Now, when I press enter, I am going to get an error. Oh, very good. Okay. Now my entire code has been pushed into this particular Git repository. Actually, you will get an error, but fortunate that I did not got any error. The thing here is why I did not got any sort of error. The thing here is I already have a key. So depending upon that key only, I am not getting any error. So I will tell you all these things in the Terraform, but now what I want to show you here is how to move the present files, working files into the Git repository, and how to pull those files from the Git repository. So what is happening here, if you see here, this is my repository, this is my private repository where my index.html is there. Now, for example, I will add some data, or else I will add one more files, and I can push that file into that particular repository also. So now what I will do here is text.txt. This is the file which I am adding. So this is new index.html. Okay, this is what I will add and I will save it. This is the untracked change which we are having. Now what I can do here is git status. If I do this command, there is a concept for there is an untracked file. So what I am going to do, git add dot colon git commit -m new file added. So when I give this command, automatically the changes are going to be saved. Now what I will do, git push origin master. So I want to push my code into my git repository. So what is going to happen? Whatever the code that has been saved, that has been committed, that code will be pushed into your git repository. Now, if you see here, the entire code is pushed into the git repository. Now, for example, if another user is also using the same code, if the another developer is also working on the same code, for example, here I will go with the Linux user. Now, what I want to say, this Linux user is also working on the same code. So how he can get it? So there is a command called as git clone. If at all it is a public repository, he can clone the git folder or else git repository. What I can do, git clone. So I will provide the SSH. Copy this, and if you paste it over here, now obviously you are going to get an error cloning into demo, but you are going to get an error. Why? Because it is a private directory. If at all whatever the directories that you are saving, whatever the repositories that are present in the GitHub, if it is a public repository, automatically the repository will be cloned. You don't need to worry about that. If you do the command git clone and if you provide the name of that particular directory, automatically the directory will be cloned. But here, whatever the directory or else whatever the repository that we are created in the GitHub, that is a private repository which can be accessible if at all if you are having the access key, and which means if at all if you are having the username and password, then only you can access that. But now you can see the cloning is not happening. But whatever the public repositories are there, is there any public repository? Let me select any public repository that I want to check out this. Yeah, here you can see there is a public repository, that is DevOps V6 Terraform code is a public repository. Now what I will do here is I will copy this, or else you can SSH, or else you can copy HTTPS through HTTPS, or else through SSH you can copy the directory. So I will copy this and go back here, git clone. When you provide this, automatically what has to be happened, the code has to be copied into your directory. Why it is not getting cloned? Just give me a second. Okay. The problem here is I have made some changes with my network as well. That is the problem. Just give me a second. Sorry for this. In the last class, I have shown some network access control list and security groups. That's the problem here. What I will do here is I will go to the security groups. All security group, editing rules. Okay. Now, when I try to access this, git clone. Now, see that the code is completely downloaded. When I try to access the other one, git clone GitHub, it is asking me for the key pair. It is asking me for the key pair. Why? Because it's a private directory. Whatever the directory that you are seeing here, it's a private directory. It is the public directory. Whatever the public node, that is the DevOps V6 Terraform. Whatever the Terraform code that you are seeing here, this is the public directory. But when you go back to the directory which we have created just now, that is a private directory. So the private directory cannot be downloaded directly. So to download that, what I have to do? So If you see here, this is the server. The GitHub is the server. If you see the architecture here, the architecture is pretty simple. Now GitHub is my server where entire code is created, or else entire code is stored. This is the centralized repository. And there is a user who is accessing the Linux machine, and there is another user who is accessing the Windows machine. Now, when these two users are there, they are working on the same code. They are working on the same code, which is in the private repository. They want to work on the same code. When they want to work on the same code, now this server, whatever the server that we have created, this is my github.com. This is the server. Now the user, the client must have the authentication. The client must have the authentication. This is the client one, who is Linux client. I will show you like this, Linux client. And this is the Windows client. Okay. So both the clients must have the accessibility. So which means that to access this server, to access this GitHub server, first of all, the Linux client will generate two types of keys. One is the private key and the other one is the public key. One is the private key and the other one is the public key. Now, when the client is generating these two types of keys, the public key will be given to the server. The public key will be given to the server. To access this code, or else to access this repository which is stored in the GitHub, the client has to provide the private key to this public key. So then only the client will be able to access the GitHub. Now, to make you understand that, what I am going to do here is, let us go for SSH-keygen. I am going to generate a key pair. Okay. Press enter, enter. Now, if you can see here, this is the public key and this is the private key. Now, private key will be with the client and the public key must be with the server. Now, what I will do, cat, I will provide the public key over there, copy the public key, copy the entire public key and paste in the GitHub. So what I will do here is settings, go to the deploy keys and add a deploy key, provide the public key over there, and this is the Linux machine or else Linux, and allow write access, add key. Now the key pair has been added so that the Linux admin can access the data. So that the Linux admin can access the data. So now what I will do the cloning again. If I try to clone the directory again, git clone GitHub, and if you do yes, see that now if I go to the command ls, demo directory has been downloaded, has been added. Now if you go to the demo, now if you see ls, two files are there, index.html and text.txt. Now if I go for git status, everything is committed, on branch master, nothing to commit, the working tree is clean. Now if I go for git log, see that what is the last commit that has been made, 1e6acc. That is the same commit which will be with the Windows also. If I go for git log, see that 1e6acc, new file added. This is the last commit. So both the developers are in the same branch, or else both the developers are in the same commits. Now what I can do here is nano dev.css. This is the file which I am creating. So I will write some coding with the CSS and whatever. So I don't know exactly how to write that, but anyways, so whatever the master dot h1, okay, dot h1. So I will go with that color colon red. If I give like this, and if I close this and let me save this, I have saved this. Now, if you see here, git status, so there is a file which need to be added. So there is an untracked file which we need to add. So what I can do, git add dev.css, and what I can do here is git commit. I am going to save this, git commit -m dev.css file added. Okay, Now what I can do, I can push this saved changes. So if you see git status here, everything is committed. If you see git log, if you see the git log, so there is a new commit, that is dev.css file has been added. Now what I will do here is I will push this save git push origin master. I will push the save, I will push that to my git repository, which is stored in the GitHub. Now if I go to the code, see that dev.css file added. Now who has made the commits? Now if you see the commits, it is clearly mentioned that Chaitanya has made the commit for these files, and this is the file which has been made, that who has made the commits here. If you want to know about that, you can go to the code. In the code, you can check out the commits also. Okay. So if you see here, dev file added, who has made the commit? So the commit is made by, see that this is the commit number and parent commit. You can understand who has made the commits also. There is an option also there. Anyways, coming back to this, these are the commits that are made by the users, and this is about your git commit and git push. Now, if you see here, whatever the commits that are there in the first developer, the same commits will not be available with the second developer. If you see here, git log, the commits are not there. So the last commit is new file added. To get those commit from the git repository to my local repository, how can I get out? So it is very easy. Git fetch origin master. I will go with this. So what I am going to get here is, so just now I have fetched that. Now I can pull git to pull origin master, so that whatever the unsaved commits are there, whatever the commits that are not there with my Windows user, I will get all the commits. So see here. Now I got the dev.css file also, which means that git to fetch will understand. So there is a difference between fetching and pulling. So the main difference here is the fetching, git to fetch command will understand which files to be fetched. Git fetch command will understand which are uncommitted changes are there, or else which are the files to be downloaded into your local repository. That can be understandable by the git fetch command. But after that, if you give the git pull command, then only the data will be downloaded from your GitHub repository to your local repository. So this is the main difference between git pull and git fetch commands. Okay. So these are some of the main topics which I have to say regarding the Git. So we have seen what is Git, Git initializing, Git commit, Git add, Git config, and then Git fetch, Git pull, and Git push. These are the some of the commands. So there are so many concepts which we have to understand, like Git rebase, Git, what I can say, there is a concept called as Git merge, and there are so many concepts like that. Whenever we are discussing the Terraform, I will include all the concepts, like whatever the concept that we are discussing in the Git. I will discuss all the concepts whenever we are discussing the Terraform. So I will include the Git, and I will collaborate Git and Terraform both, so that you can have more understanding about what is happening in the backend. So what is meant by Git rebase, what is meant by what I can say Git merge, what is the main difference between rebase and merge. These are all the concepts you will learn whenever we are going into the Terraform. Tomorrow onwards, I will start the Terraform classes, guys. So here we will stop the Git, but tomorrow onwards, I will start the Terraform. Whenever we are discussing the Terraform itself, I will try to incorporate the Git so that you can have more clarity. Now, why I said these basics, these are some of the basics which I have said. So Git add, Git commit, Git merge, Git pull, these are some of the basics. But when you go for the Terraform, you can have the in-depth knowledge about the Git also. So from tomorrow, I am going to start the Git. Tomorrow will be the last demo session. And from Monday onwards, there will be only who are registered for the topic, they will be attending to the classes. So that's all for today. If you have any queries, you can ask me now. So this Git, again, I am saying this is not in your curriculum, but I am incorporating the Git also, which will be helpful for you whenever you go for the company side. Okay. So any questions you want to ask me, you can ask me now. Fine, then we'll meet in the next class. From tomorrow onwards, we'll start the Terraform. So Terraform will be very helpful for you, and with the inclusion of Git, it will be more helpful for you. Okay. Bye, guys.